The Doubter's Testimony. My personal account of receiving the truths. James E. Padgett. Speaking to today's reader and listener. I did not set out to become a medium, nor a herald of anything new. I was a practicing lawyer, practical by training and temperament, accustomed to evidence, cross-examination, and the slow, sober habits of proof. For decades I sat in Methodist pews and taught Sunday school with the ordinary confidence of an Orthodox Protestant. If you had told me, even a little while before this all began, that I would one day receive communications from the spirit world, much less from Jesus of Nazareth, I should have asked you for your evidence and expected none to stand. How it began. In the early autumn of 1914, I attended a séance out of curiosity more than conviction. A certain Mrs. Maltby told me I possessed the power to obtain automatic writing and urged me to try. I humored the suggestion. At first, the pencil wandered like a child learning to write, mere fishhooks and hangers, marks without meaning. Then, one evening, the strokes gathered themselves into words, and I read a brief note purporting to come from my late wife, Helen. I did not surrender to that claim. Love makes men credulous, and I had been married to her long enough to know how memory can masquerade as presence. So I demanded proof. Something that could not be supplied by my own mind or by guesswork. I tested and tested again. What convinced me? At first, I suspected that any message must be the faint echo of my own thoughts. But the writing came too swiftly for me to conceive sentences and shape them at the speed the pencil moved. And there was the content. Ideas entirely foreign to the religious notions I had taught and held. The contrast between natural love and what was called the divine love. The law of the soul's progress by prayerful longing. The promise that the Father's love could be received and would transform the very nature of the soul. These were not my doctrines. They were contrary to my instruction and habit, and I could find no ready explanation for their sudden appearance, except that an intelligence other than my own was communicating them. Helen's nearness and a new instruction. In those days I felt Helen's presence almost palpably. An inward happiness visited me when she wrote, unlike any other sensation. She urged me not only to take messages, but to pray earnestly from the soul for the inflowing of the Father's divine love. My grandmother, Anne Rollins, writing from Spirit Life, spoke of the same thing, that true progress there depends on prayer to the Heavenly Father and an awakened longing of soul. I confess I resisted at first. I had been a respectable churchman, but this language of a love that is more than moral improvement, love of God's very essence imparted to the soul, struck me as extravagant. Once, when a message declared it came from Jesus himself, I thought it absurd and threw it away. Yet the counsels continued, patient, consistent, and strangely wholesome, and my reluctance began to yield. Prayer and the change of heart. I did as I was counseled and prayed, not as a ritual, but as a sincere, sometimes trembling desire rising from the heart. In time, there came a warmth I can only describe as a glow within the region of the breast, a sense of living assurance that God is not merely a governor over us, but a Father whose very love can be received. That feeling brought faith of a more solid character than any I had known. Not credulity, but a quiet conviction as if truth had taken up residence in the soul. Often, before a sitting, I would say to my close friend, Dr. Leslie R. Stone, "Doctor, I feel the divine love in my soul with such intensity, I do not know if I can bear more." And then, like a fresh wind, the writing would come. The Master's Declaration. On October 5th, 1914, I received words that I dared not ascribe to any but the one who claimed them. "You are my chosen one on earth to proclaim my glad tidings of life and love." I tested that claim by its fruit. The messages that followed did not flatter me. They instructed, corrected, and illuminated. They spoke of how Jesus brought life and immortality to light, not by mere declaration, but by opening the way for the soul to receive the Father's divine love and be transformed in essence. These teachings were unlike anything I had found in the commentaries I knew, and yet they bore a coherence, moral, spiritual, and experiential, that I could neither dismiss nor improve upon. At times, when I prayed for a greater inflowing of that love, I saw, whether by vision or inward impression, the Master himself at prayer beside me. I do not insist others must share that sight. I only bear witness to what strengthened me for the work. How the writing came. Let me speak plainly about the manner of reception. I did no conscious composing. I did not plan sentences, nor did I know what was to be written before the pencil traced it. My part was to be quiet, honest, and prayerful. The hand moved, the words formed. I remained, as best I could, an instrument. Never perfect, always subject to my limitations, but sincerely offered for the service. When my mind strayed into suspicion or vanity, the lines faltered. When my heart turned upward in longing, the lines recovered their clarity. Why? I became sure. Lawyers look for convergence, multiple lines of evidence meeting upon a single truth. I found such convergence in 1, the swiftness and unpremeditated nature of the writing. 2, the purity and consistency of the content across many messages and many months. 3, the transformation in my own affections, a move from form to substance, from creed to living love. And 4, confirmations, public and private, that the communications were beyond my knowledge and contrary to my prior instruction. In sum, what persuaded me was not marvel or novelty, but the sober growth of a truth that worked, first in me, and then in those who sought the same love. To the modern seeker, you live in a quicker age than mine, surrounded by a great noise of words. My counsel is simple. Test, but do not harden. Skepticism that searches is a friend of truth. Skepticism that scorns is a locked door. 2, pray with your soul, not merely your lips. There is a Father of love. He hears the longing of the heart. 3, judge by the fruit. What increases humility, purity, kindness, and the hunger for God is of better parentage than what feeds vanity or despair. 4, let love be the evidence. The teaching that changed me was not an argument, but a gift. Divine love entering the soul and making it new in quality, not merely in conduct. I did not choose this work. It laid its hand upon me. If you find help in the pages that bear these messages, give thanks where thanks is due. To the Father whose love is the life of souls, and to the Master who showed the way. My part was only to hold the pencil and to keep my heart turned upward. In love and truth, James E. Padgett.